Hello all. Next we are going to see the protocol of network layer. As we can see in this diagram, this is for TCP/IP protocol suite, and here every layer is having various protocols that can be used. So similarly in network layer also, we have a mandatory protocol, that is IP, Internet Protocol or Internet Working Protocol, and others are optional protocol, that is ARP, RARP, ICMP, IGMP, and so on. This mandatory protocol, that is IP, is having two versions which is currently in use, that is version 4 and version 6. So in this lecture we are going to see in detail about this mandatory protocol, that is IP. So starting from IP version 4, so it is a protocol that TCP/IP uses for transmitting packet from source to destination. So source to destination delivery is the responsibility of IP. So it makes sure that the packet is it tries its best that the packet is delivered to the destination, but the feature of IP version 4 is it is unreliable and connectionless, and it provides best effort delivery. The meaning of best effort delivery is it tries its best to deliver the packet to the destination, but it does not provide any kind of reliability feature. So there will not be any error control and flow control mechanism here. That is, if any type of error happens, then receiver will not be able to detect it, as well as the sender will not get informed. So similarly, if the receiver is getting overwhelmed with the data, then there is no mechanism by which sender can be informed, that is to control the flow. So there is no error control, no flow control mechanism, and hence it is unreliable. So in case of IPv4, it will only try with the best feature to deliver the packet, but without any reliability. As well as this IPv4 is connectionless. That means before transmitting data, the sender and the receiver will not be creating connection in between. That is, in case of network layer, a packet is called datagram. Now this datagram can follow. There will be so many datagram of a message, right? So the datagrams can follow different path because they are independent to each other and can reach the destination. So there will not be connection that is going to be created between sender and the receiver. So this is a feature of IPv4 which says that it is unreliable and it is connectionless. But if we want reliability and if we want connection oriented service, then we need to use this IP with TCP as a transport layer protocol. So this is datagram format of IPv4, and we already know that a packet in network layer is called datagram, and the maximum size of a datagram in network layer can be 65,536 byte, and the minimum size starts from 20 bytes. So that total size of the datagram will have a header encapsulated by IP. Now the size of the header ranges from 20 to 60 byte. So minimum size of the header is 20 byte. 20 byte is the mandatory header, and we also have the optional header. That is, we can add some extra information in the header. Now, depending on how many byte we have added as an optional header, the size of the header can go up to 60 byte. So we need to remember that the size of the IP header ranges from 20 to 60 byte, and remaining excluding the header is the payload. Payload is nothing but the data that the network layer has received from its upper layer. So since the mandatory header size is 20 byte, so we are going to see in detail about what are the field that will be present in that 20 byte header. So the first field is version, which is of 4 bit. So version, as I said, we have two versions that is currently in use, that is version 4 and version 6. So in the first field, if the 4 bit is representing word 4, value 4, that is 0100, then it means we are using IP version 4. So if it is value 6, then we are using IP version 6. The second field is header length. Header length, which is of 4 bit, it represents the size of header. The size of header, as I said, will range from 20 to 60 bytes. So what is that total value depends on the header length value. And it will be in terms of multiple of 4 byte. That is, minimum size of the header is 20 byte. So if the value of header length is, let us say, 5, then you need to multiply it by 4. So any value that is present in the second field needs to be multiplied by 4 to get the actual size of header. That is, if it is 5, then multiply it by 4. That will give you 20 byte, which is the header length of this particular packet. Similarly, let us say if the header length value here is 15, that means just multiply it by 4. 15 into 4, that is equal to 60, which is the length of this header. So this header length defines the total size of the header, and this will be in multiple of 4 byte, which means whatever is the value here, we need to multiply it by 4 to get the actual size of header, because the minimum size of the header is 20 byte, isn't it? So it cannot be 0 or lesser than 20. Next field is service, which is of 8 bit. So previously the service type field was like this, wherein the first 3 bit was representing precedence bit. Then after that the 4 bit represents the DTRC bit. We will see later on what is the meaning of this. And the last bit was unused. Now later on this service type field was changed to differentiated service field, wherein the entire 6 bit was representing the code bit and code point, and the last 2 bit was reserved. Now in the service type field, we have precedence and the type of service bits. The precedence represents the priority of the packet. So it is of 3 bits, so it is going to range from 000 to 111, that is from 0 to 7, and it defines the priority of the packet. So when this priority will be in use is when the packet is getting transmitted from the network. The packet will have to go through various routers before reaching the actual destination. Now, in any router, if there is a congestion, then the router will be discarding the packet. Congestion means the queue of the router is getting full and it is not having the memory to store the incoming packet. So what router does in that case is it will be discarding or deleting some of the packet from its queue. Now, which packet will be deleted by that router which is there in the queue, it depends on the precedence of those packets. So router will be checking the priority of all the packet, and the packet having the minimum priority will be discarded. So that is the use of precedence bit. The next 4 bit, that is DTRC, it is called type of service bit. Now D means if it is 1, it means that the network should try to minimize the delay. It should try to deliver the packet as early as possible. T means throughput. That is, the network should try to carry maximum packet as much as possible. R means reliability. So to maximize the reliability, and C means cost, to minimize the cost. Cost can be in terms of number of hops, in terms of energy, or whatever the administrator has decided. Now, in case of differentiated services, as I said, the first 6 value entirely is going to represent the code point, and based on that is 2 raised to power 16 6 combination will have 2 raised to power 16 different meaning into that. As per that, the network is going to provide the services. Next field is total length, which is of 16 bit. Total length means the entire size of the datagram. So this total length is going to include both header size as well as the size of the payload that it has received from the upper layer. If we want to get only the size of the payload, then we just have to subtract the header length from total length. That is going to give us the size of the payload. The next field is identification. Identification is basically required for fragmentation, and we will see about this identification flag and fragmentation offset after this. Next field is time to live. Time to live is the field that is used to limit the number of hop that the packet can travel in the network. What happens is that once a sender has transmitted the packet, So if there is no error in the packet and if the destination address is correct, then the network will be delivering that packet to the destination. But if somehow, if some information in the packet gets corrupted, or if the destination address is incorrect, then the network will not be able to deliver the packet to the destination, but the network will be moving that packet from one hop to another hop continuously, okay, trying to find out the destination, which it will never get. So consequence of this is that the packet will never reach the destination, because either the packet is corrupted or the destination address is incorrect, and the packet will always be in the network. So that is going to occupy the bandwidth of the network, so that is going to use the resources of the network. That is, network time will also be devoted in moving the packet from one node to another node. Now, to limit this kind of problem, that is, if the packet cannot be delivered to the destination, discard the packet by the network. Now, how this can be limited is by using the time to live field. So in time to live field, it is going to have the number of hop that a packet can travel before reaching the destination. If if that number, okay, if the number of hop is crossed and the packet could not be delivered to the destination, then the network will be discarding that packet. For example, let us say in time to live field, if the value is 8, that means sender is saying that by 8 hop the packet should reach the destination. Now if by 8 hop, if the packet do not reach the destination, the network will be discarded. So packet will be discarded. So how this network is going to achieve this is, every intermediate node, when it will be receiving the packet, it will be decrementing the time to live field. That is, from 8 it is going to make 7. Now next node will make it 6, then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and when it becomes 0, the packet will be discarded by the network. Next field is protocol. Protocol field defines that the payload of this packet belongs to which upper layer protocol. That means in the sending side, the network layer of the sender system will be checking that it is receiving that packet from which upper layer protocol, and that information will be stored in the protocol field. Now, using this information in the receiving side, the receiver's network layer will decide on the payload to be delivered to which higher level protocol. Like if we see this diagram, that IP can get the packet from various other protocol, like it can get packet from SCTP, TCP, UDP, IGMP, ICMP, ERP, RARP, or any other protocol, right? So from whichever upper layer protocol the sender has encapsulated uh, into datagram, then the receiver should also be delivering that datagram or the payload field of that datagram to that correct upper layer protocol. So this information will be present in protocol field in terms of number. That is, as we can see here, that every upper layer protocol is given a unique number. Suppose the sender has received the payload from TCP, then in the protocol field it is going to have value 6. Now in the receiving side, by seeing the value 6, receiver network layer will be delivering that payload to the TCP protocol. Similarly, if it is from UDP, the value of protocol field is 17. If it is from ICMP, it will be 1. If it is from IGMP protocol, it is the protocol field will have value 2. Next field is header checksum. As we had seen in the previous slide, that the IPv4 is unreliable, that is, it does not have any mechanism to check the error. That is for the payload part. In case of IPv4, it does not have any mechanism to check whether there is any error or not in the data section. But if the header part is corrupted or not, that can be checked by using the header checksum field, which is of 16-bit. Next field is 32-bit IP address. So this entire length is 32-bit. Next is the for the source, and the next one is for the destination. Now this in total is of 20 byte. Now with this one, the extra information can also be added, that will range from the from above 20 byte, and it can go up to the 60 bytes. Next, we are going to see those fields that is related to fragmentation. That is identification, which is of 16-bit, flag, 3-bit, and fragmentation offset, which is of 13-bit. What is the meaning of fragmentation? The meaning of fragmentation is below network layer we have the physical layer. Now there is a limit, that is the limit on the size of the packet that the physical layer can transmit depending on which protocol we are using in the physical layer. Like for example, if we are using Ethernet in the lower layer, then maximum of only 1500 byte it can transmit. So that means when network layer is going to send the datagram to the Ethernet physical layer, then it needs to make sure that the entire size of the datagram is lesser than or equal to 1500 byte, because if it goes beyond 1500 byte, then Ethernet will not be able to carry the packet. So what network layer does is, depending on which physical layer protocol it is currently having, it checks the total size of the datagram, and if the total size of the datagram is exceeding that the limitation of the physical layer for carrying the packet, then it is going to fragment the packet, that is to divide the packet into smaller size. This process is called fragmentation, and the maximum size of a packet that the protocol can carry is called maximum transfer unit, MTU. So we need to make sure that the size of IP datagram is lesser than or equal to MTU value of the physical layer protocol. Now for that, the three field, that is identification, flag, and fragmentation offset, we are going to see. This identification is to identify each datagram. Now, if a datagram has only one fragment, then whatever identification value was assigned by the source, it is going to remain as it is. But if source or any other device is going to divide that packet, that is to fragment the packet into smaller chunk, then every fragmented datagram will also get a identification value, a unique identification number, and using that identification number, the receiver will be able to order the various fragmented datagram before processing. Next field is flag, which is, as I said, which is of 3 bit, sorry. The first bit is unused. Second bit defines D, that is do not fragment. That is the source is saying not to fragment to any other devices. So if the physical layer is not capable of carrying the packet, then the packet will simply be discarded. Now the last bit is M, which is more fragment. So if a datagram is fragmented into small chunk, then every datagram will have the information about whether it has the other datagram following it or not. So if the value of the last bit, if it is 0, it means there is no other fragment of that particular datagram, and if its value is 1, that means there are more fragments that is coming in the network. Now let us understand this using an example. Let us say this is the only the fragmentation related field. So the first field, as I said, is the identification number. So that will be generated by the sender. It is like a counter. So every datagram will have one unique number associated with that. Now what is going to be present in the fragmentation offset, as I said, that is the third field. The fragmentation offset means the corresponding position or the location of the datagram with respect to the original datagram. With respect to the original datagram, that is the location of the fragment. Now let us see this example. Suppose if we have a datagram and its byte number is starting from 0000 and it is going up to 3999. So we have, in, let us say this is my original datagram having 4000 byte in it, starting from 0 to 3999. So its fragmentation offset value will be 0. So corresponding to the original datagram, this itself is the original datagram, so its value is 0. So it is in the 0th location in comparison to the original datagram. So how this fragmentation offset will be calculated is, it is in multiple of 8. So that is for that datagram, find the number of the first byte that is present in that fragment, and that first byte you divide it by 8, and the resultant value will be the fragmentation offset. That is, this original datagram is starting from 0 and its last byte number is 3999. So its location in comparison to the original datagram will be 0 divided by 8, that is 0. Now let's say that this datagram is fragmented into 3 fragments. The first fragment starts from 0 and it goes up to 1399. So its offset value will be the first byte divided by 0. So first byte number is 0000 divided by 8, so that is 0. So it is in the 0th location in the original datagram. Now second fragment, its starting byte is 1400, divide it by 8, which will be equal to 175. That is in the it is saying that it is in the 175th location in comparison to the original datagram. Similarly, the third fragment starts with the starting byte number as 2800, divide it by 8, so that is 350. So this 350 value will be in the fragmentation offset field. Now let us understand the entire thing by using this diagram. Now the first one, the entire size of the datagram that sender has created is 4020 byte. Now this total length, let us say, needs to be fragmented because maybe the lower physical layer is not able to carry that much of byte. Now for fragmentation, how it is going to use the various field that we are going to see next. Now the first field is identification, that is to identify that particular datagram. Now every time a source creates the datagram, it will be increasing the counter, and the next counter value will be the number of the next datagram that it is sending. So let us say the identification number of this datagram is 14,567. So every fragment will have the same identification number. So receiver will be able to identify that this fragment belong to this particular datagram. Now next field, that is flag, will have do not fragment bit as 0, because here we are going to fragment in this example. And in the more fragment bit, for the original datagram, it is 0 because there is no other datagram fragment of this datagram in this one. Now once this datagram is fragmented into 3 fragments, so we can see here the total length value is changed based on how many bytes we have divided. Now the total byte is from 0 to 1399, that is 1400, and we are adding extra 20 byte of header. So we have the total length of this fragment is 1420 byte. Okay, and so it is going to have more fragment, so that is more fragment bit is 1, and its fragmentation offset is 000. We have already seen how we are calculating it. Now the second fragment, again we are dividing it as 1400, 1400 and 1400 byte. So 1400 number of byte is the data, so adding 20 byte header, so total length is 1420. Identification number is same, it has more fragment following it, and you have fragmentation offset as 175. Similarly, the total size of the packet was 1420 excluding 4020. So excluding this 20 byte header, we had 4000 byte of the data. So we are dividing that 4000 byte into 1400, 1400, and the rest will be 1200 byte. So 1400 plus 1400 plus 1200 byte. So in the last fragment, we have 1220 number of total length. Fragmentation identification is same, and this is the last datagram fragment, so its more field value is 0 and its fragmentation offset is 350. Now similarly, we can also fragment a fragment, that is here fragment 2 is again fragmented. Now you need to practice about how the various offset is being calculated. Now next we are going to see IP version 6, which is also called as IP next generation. Currently in TCP IP protocol suite, in the network layer, most of the devices are using IPv4. So till now IPv4 only was in used, but people are moving from IPv4 to IPv6. Its main reason is address depletion. So as we had discussed in the previous video that in IPv4 we have around 4 billion IP addresses, which is not sufficient. So we need to migrate to IP version 6, which provides more number of addresses, as well as it has more benefit in comparison to IPv4. So here we are going to see what are those benefits that we can get from IP version 6 and what are the deficiency that IPv4 had, because of which we have to move to IP version 6. The various deficiency are, of course, the first thing is no matter what different techniques we are using in IPv4, that is subnetting, classless addressing, NAT, address depletion is still a problem. In internet, like in case of IPv4, there was no provision for real-time audio video communication, multimedia communication. The provision for multimedia communication was not there in IPv4, but in case of IPv6 it has been incorporated. And in case of IPv4, there is no security mechanism, that is for encryption and authentication of the data. So we need to go for this IP version 6, which is also called as IP next generation protocol. So this is the header format of IPv6. So IPv6 has base header, which is of 40 byte, and in the payload section we can also have the extension header. Like if we are doing multimedia communication, then we need to add the extra information in the extension header. Similarly, if we want the security feature, that is encryption authentication, then we need to add the extension header for that. So that way, based on which all features we want, we can add in the extension header part. And the third is the data that network layer is receiving from the upper layer. Now this is the format of the header. So the base header, which is of 40 byte, is going to have the various field as this one. The first one is version, that is if its value is 6, that means we are using version 6. So based on that, every device is going to manipulate the remaining field in the packet. Now the second one is the priority of this packet that will be used by the router of the network. Third one is flow level, which is of 24 bit. It has the possible combination of 2 raised to power 24. That is what type of flow or the service mechanism that we want from the network can be defined here. The next one is payload length. Here we do not have the total length of the header, we just have the payload, that is what is the total size including the data from the upper layer and the extension header. Next one is the next header, that is after this base header, whether it is the data that is from the upper layer or it is some other information that will be added as the extension header. Next one is hop limit. Its function is similar to that of TTL field, which is there in case of IPv4. Next one is source IP address and destination IP address, that is of 128 bit respectively. Now the next header can have further next header, and it can also have the next header for the next header. So that information it is going to present have it in the 8-bit field, that is of next header field. So next header can be your hop by hop option. It can be ICMP, IGMP header, source routing, and so on. These are the priorities. See, the network can have two different type of traffic, that is congestion controlled or non-congestion controlled. So depending on the type of the traffic that the network has, we can set the priorities. Now this is the comparison between IPv4 and IPv6 header. So what are the differences that we have? In case of IPv6, the header length field is eliminated because we know that the size of the header is always 40 byte here. The service type field is also eliminated because that is being replaced by priority and flow label field. The total length field is eliminated because we have the payload length field. And in case of IPv6, for the fragmentation related work, which is identification, flag, fragmentation, offset, they are not in the base header, they are in the extension header. Now with this one, you need to remember that since it is in the extension header, not in the base header, every intermediate node, they are only going to decapsulate the base header and they are going to react only in the base header. So they are not going to open the extension header, which means that in case of IPv6, it is only the sender who is allowed to fragment a packet. No other intermediate node is allowed to fragment the packet. So that is the differences. Now TTL field is represented as hop limit, though the meaning is same. Protocol field is replaced by next header field. The header checksum is eliminated because we already have the checksum or the header checking field by the upper layer. The option field in IPv4 is implemented as extension header in IPv6. Now, if we see the header of IPv4 and IPv6, the size of the header of IPv4 will range from 20 to 60 byte and the size of IPv6 is exactly of 40 byte. And one thing we need to remember here is that only the important necessary part has been kept in header section of IPv6. But in case of IPv4, everything is placed in the header. Whereas in IPv6, only the necessary is there in header, but the remaining is there in the extension header. So with this one, the advantage will be, since only few information that every intermediate node will have to process in IPv6, then the processing speed will be very less. So that means the router will have very less information to process, so it will be processing faster. Now, what are the various extension header that can be present in IPv6 is, the extension header can be hop by hop option. So if this extension header is there, that means sender, whatever information it has kept in the data part, that information, it want every intermediate hop to use it. So that means the data will be given to every node that the packet travels. Source routing decides that if the entire path that the datagram will have to follow to reach the destination has been provided by the sender or not. So what can happen is sender can decide about which all intermediate node that the datagram can follow to reach the destination. So if the sender has determined the route, then it can keep that information, that is entire route information, in the extension header that the intermediate router is going to follow while carrying the datagram. Now fragmentation, as I said, it is going to have the information about identification, flag and fragmentation offset. Authentication is to identify the sender of a node to make sure that the packet was actually being transmitted by that sender, and as well as to preserve the integrity of the datagram. So integrity means to make sure that the information was not corrupted during transmission or somebody else did not change the content of the information. Encrypted security payload is for encryption, that is to provide the security, that is also to avoid the eavesdropping, to make sure that the intermediate node other than actual sender and the receiver do not understand the message or the actual data that is being transmitted in that datagram. Destination offset option will be used if the sender only want its data to be delivered to the destination. If the sender does not want any other node to use the data or read the data, then destination option as an extension header can be used. These are the comparison between the IPv4 options and IPv6 extension header. Next, we are going to see how we need to migrate from IP version 4 to IP version 6. See, these two protocol, though their main objective is same, but their implementation is entirely different. Their header format and their way of processing is entirely different. So we cannot migrate directly from IPv4 to IPv6. For that, we need to change the protocol of every device that is currently using internet, which is not possible worldwide. So we need to migrate in the step by step fashion, slowly. So how this can be done is, there are three techniques for this. One is dual stack, the second one is tunneling, and the third one is header translation. So in case of dual stack, we can have both the protocol in a device, that is IPv4 as well as IPv6. Suppose if I'm getting any data from IPv4, I'll be using that IPv4 protocol, or if I'm sending any data to IPv6, another device having IPv6, then I'll be using IPv6 protocol. So this is a dual stack wherein both the protocol are present in the network layer. Now this next strategy is tunneling. So tunneling is basically used when the IPv6 packet is being transmitted through a region wherein the devices are using IPv4 protocol. So that means the sender has created a IPv6 packet. Now that needs to pass through a router which is using IPv4. So what needs to be done here is that in that region, when the datagram needs to be transmitted, the router of the boundary of that region will be adding the IPv4 header. Based on whatever information is present in IPv6, it will again encapsulate that entire datagram by adding the IPv4 header, and the packet will be transmitted through that region. And once that packet is crossing the boundary of that region, the router of that boundary is going to remove that IPv4 header, and the remaining information, that is IPv6 packet, will be sent towards the destination. The third strategy is header translation. So this can be used if the maximum number of device in the internet has already migrated to IPv6. So when there are few number of devices, then it is possible to do header translation. That is, read all the information that is present in IPv4 and convert that into the IPv6. So, or vice versa. Like for example, IPv6 device is creating a packet having IPv4 header. This is getting transmitted through the network, but let us say the destination is using IPv4. So a header translation router is going to read the entire IPv6 header and convert every field into its corresponding IPv4. So this is the header translation mechanism, and these are the steps that will be followed for header translation. Thank you.